And welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I call to order the Clackamas County Board of Commissioners in their business meeting this December 3rd, 2015. Mr. Krupp, our county administrator, will take our roll.
Good morning, Commissioners. We are joined this morning with County Counsel Representative, Mr. Stephen Madkour, and also the Clerk of the Board, Mary Rathke. Rathke, excuse me.
Rasky.
Yeah, Rathke. I'll start with the roll. Commissioner Bernard?
Here.
Commissioner Smith?
Here.
Commissioner Savas?
Here.
Commissioner Schrader?
Here.
Chair Ludlow.
Here. All please rise and join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the first order of business, as we see it, is always to have the citizens' communication first. And there is one card from Counselor Carlotta Colette of Metro.
Oh, it looks like a big shed.
I don't have cards for you guys, so I don't know.
You can
Good
pull those
morning.
closer.
Oh, Phew. So high tech. Good morning, Chair Ludlow, Commissioners. It's a great pleasure to be here this morning to award Clackamas County and Milwaukee a grant from the Community Planning and Development Grant Program. This, as you know, probably is funded with construction excise taxes that we collect as part of all the construction that goes on in the region. So it's always a pleasure to be able to return it back to where it's supposed to be, back in the communities doing good things. This one today is for the North Milwaukee Industrial Area Investment Plan. The idea is that North Milwaukee, the area between basically the Orange Line light rail station and downtown Milwaukee, is an area that could probably support a lot more jobs. And when I was on the city council in Milwaukee, I was really trying to get that going. The city councils and mayors since then have continued that, and the county and the city are now working together in collaboration, so I have great hopes for that location and for that whole area to create the kind of jobs for Clackamas County that we all want to see. So with that, I'd like to present this big check for $250,000 to Clackamas County and also thank the staff who really wrote a great grant proposal. You should know that the Grant Review Committee said this proposal should be the template for all of the ones that they review, that your staff wrote a terrific application, a grant application, and I think it was Jamie and Catherine, the whole team, but I know you're losing Jamie, so I'm going to take this opportunity to say she's been a tremendous partner. She is respected everywhere in the region for her work on economic development. She's just tremendous, and it's too bad you're losing her.
I know.
I'm surprised we didn't get her at Metro, honestly. When it's a tough one. So do you want?
Let me have Commissioner Bernard say something first.
Oh, sure.
Oh, I just wanted to, this has been an area, I used to be the mayor of Milwaukee, been an area that I've always thought was underserved. And I hope one of the things that is considered is the parking lot. would TriMet, I don't know who TriMet probably does, consider might there be a better use now for this big parking lot that 5 or 6 cars park in?
Yeah.
And so I hope that's something that's considered in the future. I can imagine, I can visualize a lot of jobs on that parking lot. Also wanted to recognize Wilda Parks for her swearing in last night, which I was unable to attend. And what's interesting is that Wilda was the shortest serving mayor in Milwaukee's history, and I was the longest serving mayor in Milwaukee history. So it's a historic day.
It's nice to share history with you. Thank you.
So I'm excited, and I went to some of those initial meetings with, I believe Commissioner Schrader was involved in, and I went to those meetings, and there was a lot of excitement. And I know that some of the regional folks like PSU and folks like that are interested. I'm meeting with I want to say Vin Diesel, but that's a movie star. Vin, yes. Yeah, I think here in the next couple of weeks, and I'm hoping this is one of the things he wants to address. If it isn't, I'll make sure it is.
Commissioner Schrader.
Yeah, I wanted to mention some exciting things in relation to this. You know, tomorrow I've got to go to the our regional solutions team meeting. And one of the things we're going to be discussing is the development of the OHSU Cancer Night Institute on the South Waterfront. And one of the exciting things that's happening is that we're looking for ways to support the traded economic sector growth, including tech transfer and commercialization in biotech. So we're going to be working with the OHSU Tech Transfer Department to see how we can align our efforts to leverage the biotech economic development opportunities. And that is a huge piece because of now that you've got that connector, and Carlotta and I had a meeting not too long ago with Brian Newman, where we just keep kind of trying to plant that seed, and also our economic development team has been on top of this from the get-go, and they actually, way back in about 2005, 06, 07, when we were the county that identified biotechnology, healthcare systems as an economic engine. We led the way. The state jumped on board after our folks did that work. And now with this opportunity, I just hope this spaghetti on the wall sticks. But we will, I can't wait to talk to the regional solutions folks about this, the dollars tomorrow, and let them know that, don't miss this opportunity for Milwaukee.
Great.
So,
Commissioner Savas.
I just want to just add that it was great to see the partnership between Milwaukee and Clackamas County, our economic development staff, working together, identified this for 5-6 years. I've been as a commissioner, just been watching the relationship. What can we do better with what we've got as far as economic development and building jobs? And shout out to Wilda for her role on the EDC as well. It's something that we just had going, and staff has been doing a good job, I think, in development of the pipeline. And I won't get into details of the pipeline, but we have the here and now. We've got the near future, and we've got so we're doing everything we can in every different way to make sure that we're doing something to keep the economic development going and jobs. And so it's complex, and I know that we talk about it when we talk about 20, 50-year reserves. We are doing something for what we have in the here and now, and this is part of that. So I think sometimes we lose context that, collectively we're doing everything we can and maximizing all of this. So it'll be great to see some new development out there, and kind of excited to see what can come together. That'll be the fun part.
And now, as requested by Catherine Comer, it's time to take a picture.
And hand over the money.
How would you like to do? Right in the middle there, yeah.
Guys, get up here.
Yep, we'll do the check in the middle.
yeah, there you go.
That's nice. And keep smiling.
Eyes open.
That one looks pretty good. Let me try one more. One more. Okay, one. Oh, thank you, Commissioner. One more. We're done. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, Gary. We're going to make a.
Yeah, I just put it on underneath.
That's our next thing.
Oh, absolutely. Take care. This is negotiable, so be careful with this.
Yes, it is. When it's signed, it doesn't matter what size it is. But it doesn't have to.
All right, you disruptive people, we're still in session here.
Oh, may I say one thing?
Please.
Bill Monahan, thank you for coming. Bill is the city manager for the city of Milwaukee.
Thanks, Bill. See you. And now it's time for public hearings. Mr. Krupp.
Yes, we do have 3 public hearings this morning. The first is a second reading of an ordinance, number 7-2015, amending Chapter 209 of the County Code relating to the authority and responsibilities of the county administrator. Mr. Stephen Madkour will give you a brief report about this.
Thank you, Commissioner, Administrator Crump. We have before the board the second reading of an amendment to the county code. It really expands the scope and authority of the county administrator in addition to offering some housekeeping updates and some grammatical revisions. The primary substantive changes are it allows the county administrator to delegation from the board to the county administrator to sign previously approved contracts that are approved by the board itself. It also allows for the county administrator to draft and implement operational policies and rules. We currently have a rather uncoordinated structure for that, and this will allow for a little bit more coordination and consolidation of policies. And it also expands his authority in the control and operation of county facilities, both leased and owned, for the purposes of maintenance, exclusion, and use by third parties. In addition to some minor grammatical changes and other housekeeping things. We had the first reading on the 12th of November. The board passed it unanimously at that time. A second reading by title only, it would be a pass, and it would be effective 90 days afterwards.
All right. Commissioners, any clarification needed on that? All right. I'll open the public hearing and ask if anyone wishes to speak on this item. I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
I move we read the ordinance by title only.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Schrader to read the ordinance by title only. I'll ask the clerk to call the poll.
Commissioner Bernard.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Chair Ludlow.
Aye, passes 5-0. I'll ask the clerk to read the ordinance by title only.
Okay, this is ordinance 07-2015, an ordinance amending chapter 2.09, County Administrator of the Clackamas County Code.
All right. Yeah, I'll ask for the motion then. All right, what I missed here?
Yeah, this is always
Yeah.
confusing.
I'll ask for the next motion. Here we go.
Go ahead. I move we adopt ordinance number 07-215, amending Chapter 2.09, County Administrator of the Clackamas County Code.
Is there a second? Should be noted as number 07-2015. Motion by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Bernard. Any further discussion? All right, Mary?
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Commissioner Bernard.
Aye.
Chair Ludlow.
Aye, passes 5-0. Next.
Okay, the second public hearing relates to the second reading of ordinance number 08-2015 that would amend Chapter 6.03 relating to emergency management. Mr. Madkour will give you a brief report.
Yes, thank you. This is the second reading of an amendment to the code which updates the emergency management section. It incorporates some best practices, and it also clarifies the delegation of board authority in the event of an emergency. And the first time it was read on November 12th. Again, it was approved by the board, and this is the second reading. And likewise with the county administrator, if it does pass today, it will be effective 90 days from today.
Any clarifications necessary, Commissioners? I'll open the public hearing and ask if anyone wishes to speak on this matter. Close the public hearing and ask for the motion.
I move we read the ordinance by title only.
Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Schrader, second by Commissioner Savas to read the ordinance by title only. Any further discussion? All right, Mary?
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Commissioner Bernard,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Chair Ludlow.
Aye, passes 5-0. I'll ask the clerk to read the ordinance by title only.
Okay. This is ordinance number 08-2015, an ordinance amending Chapter 6.03, Emergency Regulations of the Clackamas County Code.
And the motion?
I move we adopt ordinance number 08-2015, amending Chapter 2.09, County Administrator of the Clackamas County Code.
So that's a different number than was just read.
No, that's a typo.
Up here?
Up here or down there?
The one that Paul just read.
So
Can
it's
you?
07.
Thank you. That will be the
Okay,
motion.
all right, so it is, okay. I move we adopt ordinance number 08-2015, an ordinance amending Chapter 6.03, Emergency Regulations of the Clackamas County Code.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Savas, seconded by Commissioner Bernard. Further discussion? All right, Mary?
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Commissioner Bernard.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Chair Ludlow.
Aye, passes 5-0. Next.
Alrighty, the third public hearing relates to a first reading of an ordinance that would repeal the moratorium on medical marijuana dispensaries and also repeal the facility regulations related to medical marijuana and declare an emergency. Mr. Nate Boderman will provide a report. As he's preparing to do that, I just wanted to say what a great job both Mr. Boderman and Jennifer Hughes did yesterday working with the board through the marijuana rules and regulations that the board considered yesterday. That's a terrific job. Thank you.
Agreed. Great job.
Thank you, Mr. Cupp. Appreciate it. Good morning, Commissioners. Nate Boderman, Assistant County Counsel. And what we have for you this morning is a first reading of an ordinance repealing Chapters 6.12 and Chapter 8.09 of the County Code. I know you were probably hoping for more than a 24-hour reprieve from the subject, but just under the timelines and what we're dealing with, we did need to get first reading completed today. So staff is proposing that you consider this ordinance before you for a couple reasons. First, Chapter 8.09 contains regulations that are currently related to medical marijuana dispensaries in the county. And I know you'll recall that yesterday you voted to approve ZDO 254, which is the comprehensive amendment package related to marijuana land uses in the county. A number of the substantive provisions that are currently found in 8.09 of the Clackamas County Code are proposed to be relocated into Chapter 841 of the Zoning and Development Ordinance. ZDO 254 will also contain a number of changes to the standards that are currently in 8.09, and those changes that also resulted from the board's decision yesterday. So repeal of Chapter 8.09 really avoids conflicts and duplications of regulation between varying sections of our code. Additionally, the proposed repeal would remove Chapter 6.12 from the county code, and that relates to the moratorium on medical marijuana facilities. Back in 2014, you voted to approve a moratorium, a temporary moratorium on medical marijuana dispensaries, and that was authorized through Senate Bill 1531. That authorization terminated on May 1st, 2015, and there's been no further authorization to continue those moratoriums. So really what we have in the code is a provision that's not operative. So really repeal of Chapter 6.12 just cleans up the code. Due to the approval of ZDO 254 and the elimination of the moratorium provisions that are no longer effective, staff really would characterize this more as a housekeeping amendment and really to keep things consistent between the varying sections of our code. And it's certainly our recommendation that you advance this to second reading. I'll also note that we do have an emergency clause that is in the ordinance, and we're proposing that this repeal take effect on January 4th, and that's to sync up with the effective date of the new zoning regulations. And so that's what the emergency clause is about. And again, just given the timelines that we're operating under, we think that that's appropriate. So happy to answer any questions that you might have about this particular repeal ordinance.
Commissioners, any questions or clarifications needed? All right, I'll open the public hearing and ask if anyone wishes to speak on this matter. All right, I'll close the public hearing and ask for the motion.
I move we read the ordinance by title only.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Savas, seconded by Commissioner Bernard to read the ordinance by title only. Any further discussion? All right, Mary?
Commissioner Bernard.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Chair Ludlow.
Aye, passes 5-0. I'll ask the clerk to assign a number and read the ordinance by title only.
Okay, this one is going to be 09-2015, an ordinance repealing Chapter 6.12 Medical Marijuana Facility Moratorium and 8.09 Medical Marijuana Facilities of the Clackamas County Code and declaring an emergency.
Okay, I have a question on the script here, because we agreed to read the ordinance by title only, but then it says further discussion, the commissioners have any proposed changes, but we haven't passed it. I think we need to vote on passing this, the first reading as well, do we not? So just a mistake in the script. All right, so I'll ask for a motion.
So, Mary, could you repeat back the number?
The second hearing's on December 7th.
That's a second reading and a second vote.
We don't adopt it till the second reading.
No,
What?
but it's adopted now, and it
We
becomes
have to vote on it
effective.
now, and then we vote on it again. Is that correct?
No.
You'll vote on the reading of the title only, and then if you have any changes between now and the second reading, those would be discussed after you vote on the title only. And then at the next reading on the 17th, that's when it will be formally adopted and it'll be stated of
One
emergency.
vote, not two this time.
Today.
Correct?
We voted on reading it by title only. It was read by title only.
Correct.
And then this is a continuation of this hearing until the next time, but no vote takes place until the final reading. Is that
That's correct.
Well, that's different than what I'm used to. Do the commissioners have any proposed changes or amendments to the draft ordinance at this time? Well, we certainly beat that up yesterday enough, so.
No.
Now, remembering that, yeah, this is withdrawing of everything. It's not a time to add anything to what we did yesterday.
I thought because it becomes an emergency, it just immediately becomes, on the 4th, becomes effective without a vote.
It doesn't have the 90-day regular lag time. You can declare an emergency, it could be effective immediately. They timed this one for the 4th, so it coincides with the adoption of state regulations, correct?
That was the impetus.
Yeah.
And that's why it's a little awkward, is because usually an emergency ordinance becomes effective immediately. In this case, we're asking for it to be delayed until the 4th.
And you'll have one more opportunity on the 17th of December as well.
So why the emergency clause then?
Because otherwise it'd be 90 days. If you did it, it's, the adoption of ordinances is always a little bit confusing at times. If it were unanimous today, you could do it in one reading if you read the whole ordinance itself, and it could be effective immediately. If you do two readings, 13 days apart, it'd be 90 days unless you declare an emergency, which you're doing, but you're timing it in such a way that it's not on the 17th effective, it's effective on the 4th, so it coincides with everything else that you're doing concerning marijuana.
Mary, go get some lemon juice. We're going to make you read it today, okay? She's not going to go for it. All right. So I will announce that the second reading, as mentioned, will be on December 17th, 2015, at the regularly scheduled business meeting at, in that case, 6 p.m. All right. So we're done with that now? Thank you, Mr. Boderman, Mr. Madcor. Board discussion item, County Counsel.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is consideration of a board order that would authorize the acceptance of the offer to sell the former Gladstone election building. And Mr. Madcor will give a report on this to you.
You have one more item, and this is the county owns the elections building at 825 Portland Avenue in Gladstone. About a year ago, the board declared it essentially surplus property, no longer necessary to be in the county's property inventory and in the best interest of the public to dispose of the property. The county retained the services of real estate brokers McAdam Forbes, who have actively been listing the property. They have brought the board some various offers of purchase. And the most recent one was a counteroffer by an entity called Fire Restoration, Inc., which offered $435,000, which was an increase from their prior offer to purchase the property. This is an item that was discussed with the board in executive session, and all decisions need to be made publicly, and that is why it is before you here today. If the board were to approve of accepting this counteroffer of $435,000, it also has in the order itself delegating to the chair the authority to sign all real estate transaction documents necessary to effectuate this transaction itself. So this will be basically the first step of accepting the counteroffer of Fire Restoration, and they would undergo their 30 and 60 days of due diligence and whatnot to see if this property transaction will in fact take place.
Commissioner Bernard.
So first, I'd like to say, I'm really excited about this. Been going long-term discussion, and at one point, we were pretty much willing to give the thing away. And so in our efforts of actually returning those tax dollars. But my question really is that, and I believe I received an email, which is that normally, and that might not be normal at the county, but it used to be normal at the city of Milwaukee, when we had surplus property, went through a bid process. Now, I know that we do a bid process when it's tax foreclosed property. In this case, it isn't, and we chose the realtor process to list it and sell it. Is that normal, or is that just something that we've kind of gone to? I mean, I'm totally satisfied with it, excited about that, but tell me.
There are two separate sections on disposing of county-owned property. It depends on how the county actually acquired the property. If the county were to acquire the property through foreclosure, there are very strict means in which you have to dispose of the property. It goes through the sheriff's sale, it goes to the highest bidder, it's cash only, it's as is. You can donate it to nonprofits, you can donate it to housing authority, but there are strict limitations on it. If it's county general property, which is what this one was, it was not obtained through tax foreclosure, there's a different provision of disposing of the property. You have to see if it's within 500 feet of a railroad crossing to give it a railroad the first opportunity to purchase it, which this one was not. But the county can, at that particular time, exercise its discretion and dispose of the property in a manner comparable to a private transaction. And that is the statutory section under which this board is proceeding with the sale of this property.
Great, thank you. Very helpful.
All right, time for a motion.
I move we approve the board order authorizing acceptance of the offer to sell the former elections building in Gladstone at 825 Portland Avenue.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Schrader. People should understand that this is the authority to sell, but it was not sold yet because there is a large contingency period in there by which a lot of things can happen. And so at the time that the contingencies are satisfied and the buyer is satisfied, then this just gives the authority for us to proceed to sell. In the event it falls apart, we'll be back doing something similar to this, all right? All right, so any further discussion? I'll ask the clerk to call the poll.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader? Aye. Commissioner Savas?
Aye.
Commissioner Bernard?
Aye.
Chair Ludlow?
Aye, passes 5-0. I'll ask the clerk to read the consent agenda by title.
Okay, the consent agenda. Under Health, Housing, and Human Services, approval of an agency services contract with Family Skill Builder for in-home safety and reunification service. Also, approval of an agency service contract with Cascadia Behavioral Health for crisis respite services. Under the Department of Transportation and Development, approval of a cooperative intergovernmental agreement between Clackamas County and Clackamas County Service District Number 1 to transfer administration of the local septic program. Under elected officials, approval of previous business meeting minutes. Also, a request by the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office to amend the intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon State Marine Board for the Clackamas County Boating Action Plan. And under Water Environment Services, approval of a cooperative intergovernmental agreement between Clackamas County Department of Transportation and Development and Clackamas County Service District Number 1 to transfer administration of local septic program. And that concludes the consent agenda.
All right, commissioners want to remove any of these items? I'll ask for a motion.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Bernard, seconded by Commissioner Smith to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Okay, Mary?
Commissioner Schrader?
Aye.
Commissioner Savas?
Aye.
Commissioner Bernard?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Chair Ludlow?
Aye. 5-0, just like everything we've done today. And now it's time, and look at the crowd we have in here waiting to hear from County Administrator.
Could move up a little bit. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've got several items, and it looks like we're going to hit another close to
A milestone here.
record time here with our
Well, it
meeting.
depends
this
on how
morning.
loquacious we are.
Yes. So I've got several items for you, all good news. One is I just received information about the video production work with our Public and Governmental Affairs Department. You know, they've been trying to raise the awareness of the good things we do through our online video production efforts. And, you know, in 2014, our YouTube video views totaled about 17,500. And this year, with 1 month to go, we've nearly doubled that number to about 33,000 total views of our videos. Wow. But then when you factor in what we're doing with our Facebook efforts, we're estimating now that our total views have skyrocketed to more than 82,000. Wow. And so that's like 360% higher than last year, getting the good news out about what it is Clackamas County is doing. That's tremendous work on the part of our Public and Governmental Affairs staff. Then I also wanted to remind the board and the public that next week, our Water Environmental Services staff are preparing for what's the next step in updating and involving stakeholders in our solids handling capacity issue. On December 10th, we have the Regional Wastewater Treatment Capacity Advisory Committee convening, and they'll get an opportunity to hear from staff about our efforts to move forward to address our digester and solids handling capacity, deal with population forecasts and potential design work for that. It's all part of our ongoing effort to try to reach what would be the best solution for our region to be able to assure that we have wastewater treatment capacity to meet our future economic and environmental needs. And then just this morning, I received an email. This is from Lisa Beatty, the council president with the Milwaukee City Council, and she says, I'm going to just read it verbatim. She says, I wanted to ask if Clackamas County has any kind of employee awards program for outstanding customer service or outstanding community project. If so, I would wholeheartedly nominate Tanya Burns of the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District for her work generally in restoring native habitat around the NCPRD area, but also for specifically for her work on the Spring Park Natural Area here in Milwaukee. She recently completed this project for which she single-handedly raised $400,000 from multiple grant sources to realign the path out of the wetland, making both a more pleasant, more accessible path as well as benefiting the important and relatively rare habitat in Spring Park. It is the completion or near completion of a master plan that was adopted by Milwaukee a decade ago. If there is any kind of award nomination that I can fill out to promote consideration of Tanya for an award, please let me know. I suspect there are others, such as the North Clackamas Urban Watersheds Council Board, who would join in supporting an award for Tanya. Now, Tanya hasn't seen this yet. I will pass this on to her so she hears about the good words we heard from Council President Beatty, but I did want to share that with you this
That
morning.
is really great.
Is that the conclusion?
That's it.
All right, and now it's time for Commissioner communication. We'll start with Commissioner Savas.
Well, I just want to bring everyone up to date on some transportation discussions, and we kind of had that this morning for our Metro Subcommittee meeting. We've been trying to establish policy at JPACT, the Joint Policy Advisory Commission on Transportation, with all other jurisdictions, and trying to determine what splits and ratios and types of projects and criteria and a number of stuff. But I think basically they're trying to go out to the public or want to go out to the public for input. And I think it really, to take out the complexities of this, really talk about it in the sense of what the public out there cares about and wants to see their monies spent on, whether that's roads, highways, sidewalks, or bike lanes, or transit. But those are some discussions we need to have, especially whether we're facing what I think most people are aware of if they read the news lately, regards to our traffic congestion problem we have in the metro region hitting an all-time high. So be prepared. I would love to see some input from folks on that, and as my colleagues as well, kind of be bringing this for an update pretty soon when it comes to how we apportion or recommend for apportionment at the regional table, how we split those dollars in different funding streams. Commissioner Smith was there this morning. I think she got a grasp of how complex that seemed to be and how nebulous a lot of the discussion was. But, for our public out there, I think it's really about, what are the big problems we're trying to fix? And I think congestion's a huge one, and how do we best fix that with limited amount of money? That's the problem. There's just very limited money for capital projects to fix that. But that's what I have for today.
Thank you. Commissioner Bernard.
So I wouldn't recommend giving that employee who got the comments from Lisa Beatty the skunk award.
Oh.
So we might want to look at some other award. I just want to mention Spring Park is a park that attaches Elk Rock Island. Elk Rock Island in Milwaukee is actually a Portland park. It was donated by the Bishop family of the Pendleton Woolen Mills to the city of Portland. I guess they didn't like Milwaukee back then. Anyway, Elk Rock Island, they've done a lot of work on Elk Rock Island too, which you can reach depending upon the level of the water in the Willamette River. It's a great place to visit. It has a great history. Used to be a dance hall out there, and there used to be boats that brought people. There was gambling and drinking during the Prohibition, and all kinds of things went on out there. Of course, I wasn't around back then, but I hear it was a lot of fun. Also, I thought it was really important that it came out of Washington, D.C., that there may be a 5-year transportation package. It came out of committee. Now they've got to go to, through the process, and I'm excited about that. And on that list is 205. And so that's really exciting. So I hope to see that finally move out. I spent some time driving last night listening to what's going on in the Klamath Falls Basin and the efforts they've been to resolve that water issue, and have been able to go nowhere on it for a year. This, of course, they've been extending the transportation package a few months here and there, and it's just got nowhere. And this is a big step, and is it trillions or billion? It's billions of dollars, 250 billion or something, and that's a lot of money. And it's great to see that they're finally considering an investment in our infrastructure. I wanted to mention yesterday In all the marijuana discussions, I kind of forgot about one issue, and that is the fencing. And so I know the legislature is going to make some fixes and stuff. I think I'd like to go back to that after we adopt this and the legislature does their stuff. Right now, OLCC says 10 feet,
8.
8 feet.
It used to be 10, they
Yeah.
reduced it, yeah.
It's obscure, so that means it has something. It could be wood, it could be plastic, it could be something like that. I'd like to get into that discussion a little bit, and then the barbed wire thing. It'd be terrible. And I mentioned this, and I'm sorry, it dropped off my radar for a while. That barbed wire and stuff like that. I don't want it to look like prisons all around the county. Anyway, the other thing is I met with some folks on the dog barking ordinance, and we promised we would look into that again, and I look forward to that discussion because I know that I know Paul.
Shoot.
Paul's good at looking at how much we spend per complaint. They had some issues about the complaint process, and some of it has to do with if you're going to complain, you need to follow the process just like the other person. If it's having a journal of when people bark, you better bring that journal and prove that this is going on, or frankly, this complaint ends. There's got to be some responsibility on the other side. And it is, and from the folks I talked to, the complaint, sometimes when your neighbor doesn't like you, they find a way to complain. And this is one thing that is occurring, in my opinion, in this particular one. These folks have spent $5,000 to buy infrared cameras and recorders to prove that their dog is not the dog barking and that the neighbors purposely bothering the dogs to get them to bark. And so I thought it was a good discussion, and we promised we'd look at it again. And the other thing is, we hired staff for this, and one of the things that we did yesterday that I think is going to require some enforcement is marijuana ordinances. And it might be an opportunity, if this isn't working, to get some training for those folks. If they only have 100 or 200 complaints, maybe we could look at where those people apply, and they can go out and look, make sure the property lines, the sound, the volume, the lighting, all that stuff's appropriate when the neighbor complains, because I know that if my neighbor builds a marijuana grow and puts fans on it, I'm going to have my decimeter out there every day checking it out, and we need a good process like the dog barking of a log, so at 11 o'clock at night, those fans were ticking out 10 decibels or whatever.
60
110,
plus, yeah.
something really loud like my heat pump does. We need a good system of how we're going to enforce those ordinances. Other than that, I look forward to some of the holiday events that are occurring this weekend. And I almost forgot this. I'm not doing the dog. Oh, I'm doing the arts one. Arts and cultural activities in Clackamas County. Clackamas County Repertory Theater, Wing It. Is that the name of the Repertory Theater group, or is that the name of the play?
I think it's the name of the play.
Okay.
Yeah.
Come enjoy this performance that is extremely loosely inspired by Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. There'll be singing, dancing, and a chance for kids to come up on stage for their moment in the spotlight. It's Saturday, December 5th, 10:30 a.m. at the Osterman Theater at Clackamas Community College. It's also the Oregon New Minstrels, a barbershop quartet. This barbershop quartet will share a local and regional history with song and word. That's Saturday, December 5th, 2:30 p.m. at the Canby Library. So for more information about the Arts Alliance, please visit their website at clackamasartsalliance.org. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Commissioner Schrader.
So Commissioner Bernard and I traded today, so I'm going to start out with our adoptable dog. So if we can bring that, this is Herbert. Isn't he cute? He is a calm, polite gentleman with a mellow disposition. He may be a little shy during the first introduction, but he warms up quickly. He has been taught to sit and down and is easy to handle. His perky ears are listening for visitors. He hopes his next visitor is you. For more information about Herbert and other adoptable dogs, please contact Clackamas County Dog Services 503-655-6828 or www.clackamas.us/dogs. So there goes little Herbert. Every time I do this, I want to go pick up another dog, which will be impossible, so can't go there. I wanted to mention a few things today that I think are germane to some of the economic development work we've been doing in the county. As I said, tomorrow I'll be with our regional solutions team, and we'll be talking about a number of projects throughout the region. One of them that is germane, believe it or not, to Clackamas County is the James Beard Public Market. Basically, this will add over $22 million of food sales to the local economy while creating over 250 jobs with the market for all locally owned businesses and another 100-plus jobs in the rural agricultural economy. Okay, it's going to be, we hope, a year-round hub for fresh food and culinary events, a daily market and community gathering, placing, a big priority on Oregon's bounty. Basically, our solutions teams has provided technical support and worked with Representative Jennifer Williamson to obtain over $250,000 from the legislature to pay for the site planning. And the milestone is project officials revealed Snowhead as architectural design concept for the site on July 2015. The reason why this is so critical to Clackamas County is that we have positioned ourselves with our agricultural investment plan, which you can see on our website, to be the food basket of the region. So this whole notion is giving us a way to be the fresh food supply chain for the James Beard Market, which is, the intent is to actually be as big as Pike's Place in Seattle and the Reading Terminal Market in Philadelphia, which, believe it or not, is the second most visited site in Philadelphia next to the Liberty Bell, if you can believe that. So again, we continue to do, I hope, good economic development work with both our urban and rural communities. And this food basket hub piece could really be a boon to our local farming and agricultural economy.
Nice.
Next one that Commissioner Smith and I have both worked on, and it's also part of the regional solutions, is the Oregon City's Blue Heron Willamette Falls redevelopment. The regional solutions team has worked on this. The riverfront easement to Willamette Falls was secured in late 2014 from PGE and the new private property owner, and in May of 2015, Governor Brown announced essentially that the team, I want to make sure I'm getting this right, Snowhead, Mayor Reed in dialogue will design the Riverwalk. In 2015, both Commissioner Smith and I lobbied the Oregon legislature to add an additional $7.5 million for the project. So basically, the total from the state of Oregon to this point has been $12.5 million. It will be a boon again for our local economy. We're particularly looking at the media digital economies that are already located in Oregon City, as this is maybe a potential expansion area for them. And it's pretty exciting stuff. So I really love working on this committee. It's fun, and it puts our name, it's Clackamas County, as one of the key economic leaders in the region. The next thing I wanted to mention was I did get a look at the most recent, and I think, Commissioners, you may all have this in your email, but employment trends in Clackamas County. And this is Lynn Wallace, who is our economic development person who analyzes this. The good news is there's 4,400 jobs up from a year ago. Private education and health services added the most jobs, followed at 900, followed by construction, 700. That means the market for construction and building and expansion is moving ahead. Government, 500, and leisure and hospitality, 500. Our unemployment rate fell to 4.9%, and it is a half a percentage point lower than Oregon. And as well, when you look at poverty trends, which continues to be a problem throughout the state of Oregon, that's the bad news, that we still have people who are living in poverty, but overall, households in Clackamas County had a lower poverty rate of 8.6% compared with the higher rate of 15.1% in Oregon. That's good news in a way that we're lower, but bad news that we have a lot of work to continue to do to try and get people that hand up they need to get good jobs and, really get the job skills they need to move themselves up and above that poverty level. So you folks, you should have that one. The other thing is that last night I attended the Lakewood Theater Center for the Arts. They had their big gala event. I managed to, a little personal note, buy a very fancy Christmas tree for my grandchildren, Jasper and Harper, because this will be their first, it's a peppermint teddy bear tree. I probably shouldn't have done it, but I did it because it's their first time that they're going to actually spend Christmas in Oregon for the first time. Prior to this, I'd always headed over there, and it's Harper's first baby's Christmas, actually. Jasper's been around a while, but his first time in Christmas in the United States. So I hope, colleagues, you come visit my house and see the teddy bear tree. I will probably donate a good portion of them after because there's a lot of them, but it was really a fun event, and I was glad I could donate to the Lakewood Center and get some fun stuff for my babies that are coming out to visit. So thank you. Oh, and just one last thing. I just think the work we did yesterday was pretty impressive, colleagues, and I want to thank all of you for carrying the hard water up the hill and allowing me, in a way, to make a point about the rural issues that I see as fundamental to why we have some disconnects. But it was your work and our work together that moved that ordinance through, and also your tough votes that you had to take that we need to move forward to get something on the books. It's prudent, it's wise, it's important, and I want to thank you for allowing some dissension, because at least it gives a 360 of what goes on out there when we have to deal with really extremely difficult and hard issues. So thank you, and have a great weekend.
Commissioner Smith.
Thank you. I'm just going to talk about what we did yesterday on our marijuana ordinances. There's a spreadsheet available online, I believe, and we looked at 27 different pieces of rules and regulations that we attached. We had a very long hearing, about 5.5 hours, I think. We put a lot of thought and energy into it, and we couldn't have done it if we didn't have the staff. And I also want to commend my commissioners for taking the time to read and understand a very difficult topic in difficult times and with difficult and differing points of view from the people out there. But it's something that we had to do. I'm very satisfied with the work project. We also know, in implementing these rules and regulations, that they could change with the legislature. As I've said before, we had Measure 91 passed by the citizens, and then the legislature passed House Bill 3400, which really changed a lot of things. But I think we have discovered in our process that there are some loopholes and things that need to be fixed that we could not address at this level until we have the state authority to do it. So we'll be working on those, I believe, in the coming legislature this February. And when we have a shortened, abbreviated legislative session in the off years, that is really an opportunity to go back and fix legislation they did in the long session. So I look forward to that, going down, convincing our colleagues in Salem that it would work better if you would allow this or anything like that. We have spent a lot of time over the last many months in touring and reading, talking to various people, and with our colleagues at the Association of Oregon Counties has a very good legal team, is our legal team here at the county, and our planning department just was outstanding, and I'm so proud of them and how they tackled this really difficult project. Not unlike some of our other staff is doing things. This is something I think we can pat them on the back for, and you know, you can always tell how good staff is by sometimes the work that we do. We represented the good work of the staff. So I want to thank everybody for that. Piggybacking on something that Martha talked about in the jobs. Now, didn't they say yesterday that there was 13,000 building permits issued a month in Clackamas County for the last year? That is a huge amount of building permits, 13,000 a month. Some
Looking in disbelief.
No, I don't think it's that many. Inspection, yeah.
inspections.
Those were inspections, and I think the 16,000 was the quarterly figure.
Oh, the quarterly figure. Anyway, it's a huge amount, and staff is just running over there. So that's a good economic impetus for us as well.
Thank you. Again, we can't say enough about the fantastic staff, specifically Jennifer and Nate Boderman, and of course Mike McAllister, the planning manager, about what a great job they did in taking our input, wrestling through, like Tootie says, very complicated procedure and complicated rules. They will change on a regular basis. Considering that OLCC will be changing, as we talked about, some rules, we'll have to incorporate those, have to draft some new ones, and we'll be working on this year after year, I think, for many years. You know, we talked about certainly the cost of enforcement. In a lot of ways, it feels like with 3,400, not necessarily 91, but it feels like unfunded mandates to us. Commissioner Savas talked a lot about what the cost of enforcement is. Now, I don't think the cost to the sheriff of enforcement is going to increase that much because, one, they already have their difficulties and they're dealing with that in the realm of marijuana. And two, regardless, we're surrounded by counties, specifically, of course, the 300-plus outlets in Multnomah County. We're surrounded by counties that will be selling marijuana, so we'll deal with that. Secondarily, of course, is the code enforcement, and I have no problems hiring 2 people, no matter where they came from, that would be, pot enforcement officers, if you will. But the third thing probably concerns me just as much, and that is the effect on youth. I've talked about this before. I know the commission cares greatly about that. We are the public health authority of Clackamas County, and I've been meeting with Richard Swift to talk about what we can do as the health authority in order to protect our children. He brought me a box, which I talked to you about, a lockable box. They're only $12, and he gets some wholesale, and they even have a nice little thing on it that says where it came from, which is Health, Housing, Human Services. And it's that's one thing, because in my opinion, people should be mandated, if they have children under 18 in their house, they should be mandated to have one of these boxes and use it, because you and I know that it's only a matter of time before somebody leaves around some edibles like gummy bears and a child overdoses on that. And the question is, even if it doesn't kill them, it's going to affect them possibly for the rest of their lives. I would think that that's a crime to allow that kind of access to children. And I've authorized Mr. Swift to bring forward a policy session as the health authority to talk about what we can do, and not just about marijuana, but also smoking. An interesting ad on TV that I've seen recently that is very impactful. It shows a bunch of little kids around, and they're cute, and they're talking about these lovely packages. They're purple and pink, and they smell like gum, and all of those products were tobacco products. And so the question was, does anybody really think that the tobacco industry is not trying to influence these children to become future smokers? And so anything we can do to help those children, I'm very in favor of. We next week is the Clackamas County Business Alliance meeting, and also the Regional Disaster Preparedness Organization meeting that happens quarterly, of which I'm the representative from this board. This week, we also had a report on tourism, the legislature's, I should say, Travel Oregon's idea to ask for 1% more in the head and bed tax. And the question is always, when that 1% is imposed, is where does it go? Where does that money go? And it appears as if none of it really would come back to Clackamas County, so it doesn't seem like we're really in favor of that. We had a Performance Clackamas update, Red Soil's master plan update in regards to courthouse design. We had a West Solids Handling Communications Plan because we want people to be educated and informed as we go forward with making sure that we have the capacity to serve growth in this county. We have approximately 4,000 equivalent dwelling unit hookups left, and that's to serve all the sewerage in Clackamas County, excepting Molalla and, and Estacada and Wilsonville, but mainly Tri-City Service District and the Clackamas County Service District number 1. We had an update on Blue Heron. We own some property over in Westland. There's Blue Heron Westland, there's Blue Heron Oregon City. It's confusing at times. We have some property over there, and we decided preliminarily how we will handle the disposition of those properties. So I thought that was an interesting conversation. I think overall we're going to have some other interesting conversations about that. Let's see. I had a lovely little saying here. I know you want to hear this. Huh? You can't wait? I can't wait. I know you can't wait. It's lovely stuff, don't you, Bray? Well, it says this: unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. And it's Dr. Zeus. What a way to end a meeting, folks. All right. There being no further business before this commission, this day, this meeting is adjourned.